Alright, what up everyone? I'm going to try to do a little video here on some bone and antler tools in my collection. I found all of these except two of them. Two of them a buddy found. I'll just start with those. This is one of them here. Very cool piece, kind of stained black with age. I'm not sure what kind of bone it is. I'm guessing a deer leg bone of some sort split to make a hairpin. All of these are out of Oklahoma. This is the other one I got from him. Beautiful piece. I believe it's a large hairpin. And I'm not sure what kind of animal this is from. I'm guessing a large deer bone. A few people have suggested a catfish bone, but I don't think it's that. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Sorry, the lighting kind of sucks. That is a killer piece, though. Alright. This one's not bone. I believe it's clay. I believe it's a clay bead. It just kind of looks cool in here, so I stuck it in there. Now this one is bone. And Todd Servell he's an archaeologist, I believe in Wyoming. He was doing a excavation on a mammoth site, a Clovis mammoth kill site, and they found the oldest bone bead found in the Americas, and it was from a hare, which is a rabbit. And if you Google search that, if you Google search oldest bone bead in the Americas, the article will pop up, and there's an item that's identical to that in there. I even sent him photos of it, and he kind of agreed with me that that's what it looks like. It's actually, I love that little thing, man. This is a piece of fossilized bone, probably from a mammoth or mastodon. Dog hairs everywhere, sorry about that. It might just be naturally river polish, but a few old timers told me it's an attached atlatl spur, which would go on the end opposite of the atlatl handle, and the base of the point would nick in there, and it would be used to thrust a point. I was actually doing a live video when I found this one, and one of the guys in the comments told me to go back and pick it up and keep it. So I retraced my footsteps and barely found it again. Some of these little ones right here might not be bone tools, but if I have any suspicion that they are, I'll throw them in here. This one's got a kind of a rounded end, and then this other end's very flat. Interesting piece. Almost looks worked on that end, on the flat end even. Some of these might even be little pieces of ivory. These are very solid right here. This one, the end almost looks ground to make it thinner. Actually, each end. See that? Each end of that kind of looks ground. This one was a bone point. I actually found it in an overhang years ago when I first started hunting. It had a needle tip on it. I mean, needle tip. I was examining it on a leather top table and I dropped it from like maybe 1 foot, if that, and it broke and I could never find the tip. I mean, it was a needle tip too, man. All right. This is a burnt bone owl or some kind of a needle or maybe even a tattooing device. Super sharp. Needle tip. You can see where they burnt the bone. And then after it was burnt, however they sharpened it, it exposed the inner layer of the bone, creating the lighter color. Here's a broken bone tool. Unfortunately, a lot of these get broken because they're obviously bone, pretty fragile. And I hunt the rivers and creeks, and they just get banged up when they roll down. This was probably a hairpin too, or an owl, however you say it. Here's another owl, pretty sharp distal portion. Bone tools are one of my favorite things to find, man. Pretty needle tip they worked on this one. Most of the ones I find seem to have this back edge broke off. I don't know if they made them like that or if they're actually broke. This next one's one of my favorite ones I found. This was on the gravel bar where I find most all my Clovises at, and Scott's Bluffs. You can tell by the patina that and the weight, it's pretty heavy. You can tell it's pretty dang old. You can see on the sides where they ground it into shape. Dang dog hair, man. It's everywhere. This one has an interesting distal segment. It's kind of peg shaped, where these other ones come to a point. This one is just rounded off. Never really seen one like that from here. Come on, camera, focus. Here's another one that's broken. Would have been very nice. This one's pretty interesting. They just kind of angled off this edge of it near their distal portion. Pretty good shot of it right there. This one kind of has some rodent chewing maybe going on with some work, but I kind of think it's an artifact. Let me know if you guys have ever seen anything like this before. Kind of just a disc-shaped bone. It's very lightweight. Kind of looks like the base to the antlers, but I don't think it is. Man. I always call it a UFO effigy. Just joking, obviously, but very interesting piece. Maybe a game piece of sorts. Or maybe natural. Who knows? Okay, so most all these other ones are going to be antler. This one's pretty cool. It's black. Stained black with patina, and it's got some weight to it, some mineralization. You can see the distal segment is angled, which I believe it to be used for notching on the arrow points, or just points in general, and pressure flaking. A lot of the times the antler tools will have an angled edge. There are dog hairs everywhere. This one's kind of similar. Not exact, but it does have an angled. Maybe it's damaged, or maybe they just wanted it like that. One end socketed, almost. Funny story about this one. Right when I found it, I wasn't sure what it was. Kind of when I first started hunting. I wasn't too familiar with antlers, and I took it to one of my friends that doesn't artifact hunt. He just deer hunts. First thing he does was grab at both ends and tries to break it, and what does it do? It snaps in half. I was so pissed at him. I super glued it back together. You can't really tell, luckily, but freaking idiot, man. The shine on it is some sealant I put on it just to help preserve it from decaying. Because a lot of the times the bone and antler get exposed to thaws and heats in the river. Once they get cold and frozen and then get hot again, they just kind of turn to crap pretty quick. I'm not quite sure if this is an artifact. Kind of seems like it. Maybe not. Here's another one with the angled tip. Definitely not natural, man. I mean, they're cutting them and working them and using them. This one actually broke a little bit on me. It was just like those other two, had the angle tip. Old antler. This one's pretty cool. Some kind of a pressure flaker or for indirect percussion. Very old antler. Been in the river a long time. Okay. This one feels like a fossil to me. I think it's an antler. Not sure if it's a tool, but I kind of think it might be a little bopper or billet. I call these antler billets. They all have an angled big flat surface right there on the end of the antler. Probably was cut off and snapped, scored and snapped maybe. Here's another one. Got some high polish on it. Same thing going on. I'm not sure if this would be whitetail deer, maybe like an elk. Kind of seems pretty big. Same thing with this one's very interesting. Probably elk, maybe. I was watching a video on YouTube on bone tools earlier, and they said they would burn them. And that's what that looks like to me. A little bit of some charred, burnt remains. I think they burn it to help them cut through it. Okay. This one's not really an artifact, but oh crap, hang on to it. This is from an extinct species called a stag moose. A few people suggested it might be a billet, but no idea. But it's definitely from a stag moose, which I've never seen one found here, or never found one myself, so I always like it. I believe this would have been towards the base of the antler, and then this would have been where it spread out. Then this last one I'm going to show y'all. It's one of my personal favorite bone finds right here. I've heard some pretty crazy suggestions on it, but I'll just show it and let you form your own opinion. Obviously it gets called a handle a lot. One guy I know that's real into bones told me a pretty crazy story that he thinks this might be some kind of a pipe that they use in a ceremonial purpose. This end would be the mouthpiece. it's kind of smaller. I believe he told me they would stick some other kind of a stone down in there. And anyways, after he told me that, I thought he was kind of crazy, but I went out to my car and I put it to my lips, and it does have pretty incredible suction power. I'll kind of blow on it so you can hear it. Pretty interesting piece, whatever it is. I'm not even sure what kind of bone it is. It's been called everything. From a bison rib to a freaking human femur to you name it. If anybody knows what this is, let me know. Hope y'all have a good day. See y'all later, man.